communicate, and
Yeah.
in a
People need to
relationship
be
or
heard.
yeah, I have a huge problem with that. But the in terms of like being heard, the being heard thing is super important to me. Um, so I just try to like work really, really hard, and I'm way, way, way better than I used to be thanks to psychedelics. But before the discovery of psychedelics in my life, like I and the internalization, the introspective deep dives that
Mm-hmm.
creates, and the ability to really analyze and correct, repair things that you can identify because of that, because of the plant medicine. It's it's changed me, but I still struggle with it. I still struggle with finding and having empathy after a certain amount of time. Like
Yeah.
it's
But
just it's just something I struggle with still to this day. I still work on it really, really hard, but
yeah.
I am indeed a guilty person when it comes to trying to be present for somebody that I think, because of my own issues, is being weak and making a big deal out of something that shouldn't be a big deal, and letting things affect them at such a level that they're incapacitated over things that are like, in my opinion, very small, and that wouldn't even scratch my fucking paint.
Yeah.
I would
But
just keep
that's why
going.
we all need each other,
Yeah.
right? Because in that moment, that person can lean into the fact that you're probably being protector and you're like, I don't,
Or just being a son of a bitch.
you're always a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Anyone that is in your listen, anyone that is in your
Orbit.
close friends,
Mm-hmm.
like in the orbit of
Yeah.
Brian Bishop,
Yeah.
knows that you're a son of a bitch and gives you a lot of grace,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and
No. Yeah,
also
they
knows
do.
how to just backburn that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, he didn't mean it. It's fine. He'll move on. He'll be fine. And, but the empathy part, mine is backwards. I'm too empathetic. I allow too much shit, sometimes out of fear of rocking the boat. I feel too many feelings as far as carrying other people's feelings. Um, but that's a human experience. It's I don't regret it. I love it. I love it about me, but I also understand that's something that has to have boundaries. And if I hold the boundaries and keep that space only for the people that I think can walk on that sacred ground, then it's okay. Like this last week, I'm facing like the really, really big thing currently, and I had to find a place to not hold on to anger. And this is where empathy really comes into place and go, I think there's something else happening on the other side of this that I don't understand about these people. And maybe with a little bit of grace and empathy and compassion with strong boundaries, I can go into a place where I'm not angry and resentful. It's not that I haven't had a problem with anger. I have had a problem with anger. I get angry when I feel like I am not being heard. The most. Like, number one way to piss me off is to cut off my voice or to try to control it. And because I'm very empathetic, one of my character defects is it's this place of like battling to have a voice and then still holding place for other people to have a voice. It's very weird. But in the last few years, I've done a ton of work around that. And I think that's why I feel like a hurricane. I fucking love who I am now. I love the fact that I can move in these very fluid ways and that it's grown in my artwork to where I don't feel like I'm hiding in my artwork anymore. I'm like, this is my point of view. This is my work. This is what I enjoy. These are people that I love. Like, I love that I'm a mom. I work hard for my kids. But I will tell you, there for a while, and people never talk about this, And because it's such a shameful thing, like society has shamed women into the place where you're supposed to be happy as a mom. Being a mom is fucking hard.
Yes.
And at a certain point, like I'm like, how can I keep holding all of these bricks together? I don't want to be the mortar between all of these bricks. So something that's had to change is not always being empathetic and having a little bit more of that son of a bitch attitude with certain things. Okay? But we don't talk about how as a society, like we make men out to be weak, dumb, and stupid, incapable, and we make women out to be these things that's supposed to do all of the stuff. They're supposed to work. They're supposed to have the house together. They're supposed to have dinner on the table. The kids are supposed to be dressed with like perfectly combed hair, and really I've been able to take the things that I've learned throughout my childhood and especially doing this like really giant work on myself and going, okay, that is not reality. I love men because I think men are strong and I lean on men all of the time for guidance, point of view, like that's why my artwork is the way that it is. Look at my client base. My client base has a much stronger personality, men and women. And then for me, I've had to take myself out of this box of like only being a mom and having to do things perfect. And like I used to not allow myself to cuss. I didn't start cussing until my dad passed. You know why? I grew up in a house that cussed all the time. I cussed all the time as a kid. And then later on, I was told, well, that's unacceptable. Well, no, it's not unacceptable. It's what happens is someone keeps all of that pent up, it's going to explode. So for you, where you leaned into anger, it's not that you were always angry. It's probably that the anger was a way that it was the easiest blow off valve. And I'm making assumptions here, so you can correct me. But it's probably that you were feeling isolated or sad or I don't want to say neglected, but aside from, and that the anger was just the quickest way for it to come out as far as like a blow off valve. For me, it was isolating and going into like fear and going into anxiety and crying on my own. And it wasn't those strong attributes that I have right now. And I've had to take a look at the way that I was raised and go, man, I'm very grateful for those lessons. And as an adult, I have let so much go. Like, if it's not for me to hold on to, it is out of my life. I don't hold space for it anymore. I don't hold space for these societal, like, this is how I should be. And I think it's really creating something beautiful in me. The more I let go, the more actually comes right back into my space, but like flourishes. And my kids get to see someone who's not always content being a mom, but they know I love them and they know I do everything I can for them, and that they don't have to grow up in a household like I grew up in.